This video is for all the followers who want to get some tips on how to improve their ability to follow and also avoid mistakes that make you less enjoyable to dance with on the dance floor.
Yeah, and this video is not like a video that we're going to be doing a lot of demonstrations or a tutorial. This is just a video that we're creating kind of lecture style to just make you aware of some things so you don't make the mistake of doing it on the dance floor.
Yeah, so without further ado, let's get into it. Number 1 is over styling. So styling, of course, is when we use either our arms or our footwork or our body to add flair and detail, kind of spice up your partner work. Yeah. But when we go too much, too far, too often, it just becomes like an over decorated cake. It just looks like chaos, right? It's not pretty. So styling is just enough to make it look elegant and beautiful without actually being distracting or over the top. So if your styling interferes with the guy's ability to lead you and it starts distracting him, or you're so distracted you can't follow him because you're like, I'm just busy looking good, then it's not really a cooperative dance, right? You're taking away what he's doing and your interaction with him to just kind of show off, right? It seems more self-centered, and it's just not as fun as a leader, I think, to dance with. But we can hear Demetrio's opinion.
Yeah, and so some girls might think, or especially if you're going into bachata, like, oh, bachata is like a sexy dance, and you look at videos and you see all this arm movement, all this sensual stuff happening and sexiness with all the girls in terms of what they're doing with styling. But it's not about that. I mean, bachata is a partner dance, so you want to make sure you guys are focusing each other. Guys are making the girls look good, girls are making the guys look good, and we both feel good and we have like a nice connection together. But there's, to a certain point, when you start styling and you over style, it can be a little bit too much, and then it just limits the guys from doing things. Even it breaks, like if we have something that we're gonna do and you're trying to just over style and you do something and it's blocking some of our moves, it's just gonna make the dance a bad experience, and it might look bad also from the outside. Yeah,
right. So kind of more on that point is there's a fine line between styling to make it look good and then you're styling to where a guy goes to grab your hand and it's off, or he's connecting and instead of you staying connected like he wants you to, you think you need to do styling, and then it's destroying his moves and it doesn't look good from the outside, right? So it looks good until a point where it goes, oh, that's like, you can tell he might be frustrated and she's not paying attention to him, and you lose the part of the dance that's awesome, which is like the connection, not just physical connection, but the connection that you're having fun dancing together and interacting. So yeah, don't over style. There's no like this amount is the right amount.
Yeah, because we're not saying at the same time that you cannot style. Yeah, you can style here and there, but we're talking about like drastic over styling, like arm here, booty roll, arm here, boom, 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 like back to back to back to back, up until the point where I'm like, yeah, I was trying to grab the hand here and then I don't see the hand, and then I'm over here and she's over here doing a booty roll and doing all this crazy stuff like throughout the whole dance, like non-stop.
Yeah, it's like a wild stallion. You can't get him under control. Yeah, so again, we're not talking about moderate styling. It's like way overboard. So just pay attention. Don't do that. Guys love when ladies do a little bit of styling because it shows that we're having a good time. We have that space and we're making them look good by us looking good. But don't cross that line. Pay attention to your partner. How does he look? Does he look happy about your styling? Does he look frustrated that you just destroyed his move? All those things, right? So that's the first one.
It's just kind of like salt. You need salt to make the food taste good, but if you put too much, the food will taste nasty. It's just, there's always a good amount of styling that you can do to make the dance look great, but once you overpower it, you do a little bit too much, it's kind of like
a bad taste
you just dumped a bunch of salt on your food.
Yeah, so that's number 1. Number 2 is back leading, or kind of doing the moves for the guy. So this is a very complicated topic that I can't dive too much into because it'll just make the video inappropriately long. But the concept is, right, that the leader says what moves to do, what speed to do them, all those things. He's dictating what's going to happen next. And as the follower, our goal is to do kind of exactly what the leader is asking us to do. And we decorate the move to make it look nice, but we don't dictate the move. Yeah? So sometimes either when a girl is new to dancing, this is common, or if they have prior dance experience in another genre, they have a hard time relinquishing control and letting the leader dictate the move. But you have to play your role. You have to be the one who's doing it's almost like he's putting the recipe and we're following the recipe. We don't say what the ingredients are. We don't say how much, we just do it, right? So that's what your role is. So this is common. Back leading is a little hard to show because it's a feeling.
Yeah, one of the easiest ways to
see
that I can say it, like in terms of a guy, especially when you're starting off dancing, is when you're trying to do loops. Loops are like hair combs where you can do movements like this. You can loop with, there's different styles, but since there's many different styles of loops, for example, I can go inside or outside. Sometimes when I'm dancing, like especially if you're starting off, you might think, okay, I want to give her an outside loop, but the girl tries to lead an inside loop because she's guessing for you.
And you just kind of fight.
Yeah, that's a form of back leading where it's like you're guessing for the guy and you're assuming he's going to do one thing, but it's the other. And it kind of looks like we're wrestling from the outside.
Yeah, another one that's commonly do a crossbody lead for me. So when he does a crossbody lead, the signal is you wait for the guide forward, right? But if you see a girl back leading, you'll see her start a step forward before the guy ever actually led it forward. Those are really simplistic ways of showing that, but they're in all the things. So guys are going to lead it, then we execute it second by second, and there's a lot of variations. So we don't ever assume that he gives a signal and we know the whole move, right? We only know that second, and we have to wait second by second to follow the recipe, yeah? So it's very complicated, so I may not have been able to really fully explain back leading, but the general idea is you have to wait for the guide, the lead, the physical lead, everything, and then you execute. Don't try to execute before he's actually led anything, yeah? That's a huge no-no. It's one of those things that guys will not verbally express that they don't like it as much, but if you really talk to them on a one-on-one, it's something they really don't like because you're basically taking away their role, right? So it's like if you're the driver and the person in the front seat is going taking over the wheel and trying to turn it for you, that would irritate you, right? Or they're trying to change gears, you're like, what are you doing? That's the same thing. You're taking over his role. So make sure you just maintain yours and let him have his.
Yeah, and if you're a follower and you're back leading, we're not saying, hey, stop dancing bachata because you're back leading. It's a big topic that we do cover in our online course on a lot of tips for the followers on how not to back lead because it is a big issue. And a lot of followers are already aware that they're back leading. They're like, how do I stop leading for the guy? How do I relinquish control so he can do what he's trying to do? So there's a lot of people that are aware that they're doing it and they want to fix it. And there's a lot of ways and tips that we go over in our online course, for example, on how to fix back leading.
Yeah, most of it's just they're getting into it and they don't really understand how to be led. So obviously there's a little grace period for just learning how to be led. It can be an interesting skill. Yeah? So there's 1 and 2, 1 over styling and 2 back leading. Yeah? So number 3 is matching your partner or mirroring your partner as much as possible. So at the very core, that might be his mood. So there's some dancers who their mood is like calm and suave and just like relaxed. And as a follow, then we kind of just want to mimic that, right? Smooth, relaxed, chill. And we mirror that in everything. In our basic step, we mirror that in the way that we move to see that they're moving. So we're trying to create almost like this, maybe this is your first time dancing, but it should feel like it's many times because we're trying to just go with whatever flow they're giving. If they're energetic and super happy and they're moving quickly and it just feels spunky, then we try to have that same spunk to it, right? So it's creating like one unit, and he's the one bringing that flavor because he's kind of dictating the moves and how the whole thing should go. He's the one who's picking kind of like the musicality aspects, and we're just going to jump on board and say, hey, I like what you're doing, I'm going to do the same thing. And that creates a feeling that you kind of like the way he's dancing and it feels good on both sides. So that's the first one, is just like the mood, right? But we're also mirroring his whole body movement. So if his basic is large, we're gonna do a large basic. If his basic is kind of small, we're gonna mirror that small bit, yeah? If he feels like up and tall and it's very like ballroom feeling, we're gonna try to have that same feeling. If it's grounded and kind of relaxed, like even just the motion of the body, we're gonna do that same thing. So from start to finish, we're trying to mirror like everything about the personality to the body, you know, everything. So that really helps just kind of feel like we're one.
And then for this topic that we're discussing right now, this is probably one of the hardest one, especially if you're an introvert trying to match somebody's energy if it's something that you don't really do. So the more you progress through dance and the more you get, you're gonna get better as a better dancer. That makes you comfortable to do things you're not normally, especially when you start off. That's when you want to start matching things as much as you can. So say if you have like an outgoing guy, like super bubbly and like really funky, but you're like an introvert and you're barely starting to dance. Obviously, we're not saying like try to match and be like, yeah, turn up, like, and like you're super, super shy and timid. But later you want to project that energy the best that you can, just so it doesn't look like you guys are super, super off.
Yeah, mismatched, yeah. And sometimes it's nice because I'm not super outgoing, crazy, loud, big, bubbly, but it's nice sometimes when someone brings that to the dance and then I have to bring that to the table. It can kind of like be a little pep in my step. It feels really nice. Kind of like, this is kind of a weird analogy, but it's kind of like when you hang around with children, like even if you're kind of chill and then kids are really energetic and you kind of got to be like that with them. Sometimes it picks up your mood a little because you got to be or feel something that you don't really feel in that moment. And it's really nice sometimes to kind of play those different characters as you go around the dance floor, right? Sometimes one feels slow and it feels very romantic and you kind of go with that vibe. And then like we said, another one kind of like brings a hip hop feel and you kind of like try your best to match that. And it can feel really fun if you get out of your own head and you don't think about yourself and whether you're shy or not shy. And you just like, let me just try to match that partner's energy. It feels you feel a lot more free to just be whatever your partner is being versus what you feel on the inside. Yeah. So these are the top 3 things that they're kind of like mistakes or things that people aren't doing on the dance floor that might make the dancing feel a little bit off or maybe make the lead feel like you're not interested in the dance as much, right? So try one by one implementing in these dance. Obviously, you don't have to focus on all 3 at the same time. That might feel overwhelming, but maybe start with the first one if you're over styling, or just check your styling and really get that under control, see what's appropriate, what's not appropriate. And then maybe the next time you go out dancing, you work on maybe not back leading, so on and so forth. Just don't think about them all at once.
Let's give them a bonus.
Ooh, a bonus. Bonus. When you're dancing with your partner, try to make it look like you're having a good time. Even if you're nervous, even if, maybe you don't have the best connection with the partner or you just feel shy, something's off, right? Try not to have like a resting, relaxed face, which can sometimes look like you're not having a good time, you're uncomfortable, you don't like the person or something they're doing wrong. And it can really, it has nothing to do with you. The guy looking at you makes it seem like you don't like what he's doing. And then he maybe doesn't want to dance with you again because he thinks you didn't like dancing with him, right?
Again, this is probably still hard if you're an introvert, but it's like not even anything crazy. As long as we see a smile here and there throughout the dance, we feel like we're good. Because even as a guy, if you're starting off, even as a student, I even see like a student would feel this more because they're nervous. They're thinking about the moves. They're like, oh shoot, what do I do next? I only have this basic step. I just forgot all the moves in my life. And we're thinking a lot. So if like, we're like, oh yeah, I feel good about this turn.
And we're just like this.
And then I do a check-in and she's just like serious. I'm like, oh shoot, like it just makes me even more nervous. And like every time like I'm like, okay, I got another move. And then I do a check-in and her face is like, what are you doing? I didn't like that move. Like it feels like weird. Like it's like, oh shoot, like is she not having fun? Am I doing something wrong? So as long as
a little smirk,
just a smile here and there, you don't have to be like deadlocked in the eyes the whole time because that's just a little creepy too. It's just a smile here and there. Do a check-in, and you don't. Again, that's maybe for another video. On you don't want to lock eyes the whole time because that also can feel uncomfortable.
Yeah. So just have a general smirk. Just be aware, like if you were at I don't know, a party where there was photographs everywhere, right? And for photographers everywhere. And at any moment you could get a picture taken of you. You wouldn't be like, right? You would kind of have like a general happy disposition and look, so that if at any point someone caught a glimpse of you, you would look generally happy. That's kind of what you want to think. You don't have to look overly happy. You don't necessarily have to lock eyes with them, but generally look like you're having a good time, so that you don't introvert your partner and then they may not want to dance with you again. This is actually a common complaint from the leads. They just, I didn't know, she didn't look at you, and they're worried about who to dance with because they don't want to make someone feel like they're not having a good time. Yeah, so hope these 3 things help you out on the dance floor. Let us know in the comments if any of these helped you, and we'd love to hear your feedback. Make sure to like and subscribe. We'll see you in the next video.